Hello and welcome. You are watching part 2 of a 3-part video series covering the biggest challenges that business owners have around creating their own product. So in the last video, the first video, we covered the challenge of not having enough time for product creation. And in this video, we're talking about another big challenge, which is getting started with product creation. And next week, we will be covering how to actually finish creating your product. So if you're ready, let's get started. And by the way, before I start with the slides, if you're watching, and I know some people are watching, say hi in the comments because that's the only way I know that you're here. Even if you're watching the recording, say hello. I always go back to reply. Let's get started. All right, how to start right with product creation. Now, when I asked business owners, what is your biggest challenge with creating your own product? A lot of them said, I don't know where to start. And that's why I decided to dedicate one video training on this topic. How do you get started? And not just how to get started, but how do you get started the right way to increase your chances of having a successful product. So this is what you're going to learn. Hello, Anazi. So great to see you. This is what you're going to learn in this video. First of all, how do you get around people's tendency to lie to you? Where do you find big data that's free for the taking? What is the one technique that scares away most people? And because of that, if you do this, you will exponentially increase your chances of success, and you will set your product and yourself apart from the others because everyone else is too scared to do this. And finally, how do you know what people will actually buy? And as a shameless bribe to you to get you to stay with me to the end of the video, if you finish watching this video, I will give you a bonus, and you will find out at the end how to get this bonus. It's the 5 ways to start right with product creation. So that's just a little checklist that you can use to actually carry out everything that I'll be covering in this video. Okay? Now, if it's your first time listening to me or watching me, let me just very quickly introduce myself. Who is Lexi Rodrigo? Well, I am an online business owner. I have been online since 2008. That's 10 years if you're watching this video in 2018. So I started out, the first $100 that I earned online was from writing. I got paid to write for a couple of websites. And then maybe 2 months later, I learned how to put up my own website. And my first $100 of passive income, meaning I earned it not by providing services, was with Google Ads. Remember those websites that had Google Ads? So I've been doing this since 2008. I have been a copywriter and a content marketer for hire, and meaning I have worked with other businesses as a consultant and as an employee rather. And so I have been behind the scenes of 6- and 7-figure businesses. I've been involved in launches that brought in millions of dollars. And because of that, I have gotten a lot of insights about how businesses work, especially businesses that are making a lot of money. I am a coach and consultant to business owners who are not yet at 7 figures but want to get there. And I'm co-author of this book, Blog Post Ideas, with Jim Hopkinson and Danny Inney. I'm also a wife and mother of 3, and those are my 3 children in the picture, who are all taller than me now, so I am now officially the shortest member of our family. All right, so what are the symptoms? How do you know that you're having trouble starting with your digital product? Aside from saying, I don't know where to start, Other ways that business owners express this challenge is they say, I have too many ideas. I don't know which one to pick. Or I don't know what topic to cover in my product. Or I don't know what people will actually pay me money for. So if you have any or all of those challenges, there is a solution, and it is actually just one word. Can anyone guess? Can you guess? Would you like to hazard a guess? So the answer is, ta-da, it's research. And in the past, and I hope this doesn't scare you, this is why I did not put it in the title of the video and the descriptions, because just the idea of doing research can scare off a lot of people. And there's good reason for that, because in the past, when you say market research, it's the sort of thing that only big businesses could do because it was expensive. It involved a team of people, which could be an internal team or hiring some kind of a consultant who are experts in market research. But not anymore, because thanks to the internet, we have so many tools at our disposal, so many ways that we can do our own research. Even if you're a solopreneur, even if you're a one-person business, and you can do, like what I'm going to talk about today, can be done by one person. And I know because I have done it myself. And you can get good results. Like at the very least, you can get directionally accurate results. All right, so let me show you 5 ways that you can do your own research in your market, even if you have 0 budget. So everything I'm going to show you today does not involve buying any software or paying somebody, okay? And you might actually, number 5, you could even get paid. So stick around for number 5, all right? So the first one is to get started with your own experience. I'm assuming if you're thinking of creating a product for a particular market, that you do have contacts within that market, that you know people who are in your target market. So if that is the case, then just think back and think of what is the question, or what are the questions that people ask you about most often. Now, this is a good thing to think about, because first of all, they're already thinking of you as some kind of an expert. Otherwise, why would they be asking you, correct? And secondly, if they're asking you these questions, that means they don't know the answer themselves and they want to find out the answer. So just think back and try to make a list of these questions that people ask you most about. And this is actually how I got started with one of my very first digital products. At that time, I was a freelance copywriter, and I was part of a community of other moms who are building online businesses. And some of them would often ask me in private messages, how are you finding clients? How are you finding clients? How are you finding clients? So finally, I put together a product about how to find clients. So think of questions from your clients. Look back, dig into past emails that they've sent you. What are the problems that they're approaching you with? And also look at questions from your colleagues, because you might be thinking of a certain target market and you might not consider that your colleagues might be your target market as well. What do I mean by this? Like in the example that I gave you, right? Other freelancers were my colleagues, and I created a product for them. If you're a graphic designer, maybe you can create a product for fellow graphic designers. If you're a VA, it's the same thing. So, is that clear? By the way, at any time, if you have any questions, just post them in the comments, because I will get back to them. So the second method of market research that you can do is web research. And there's a ton of things, so many things that you can do in terms of web research. So later on, you're going to find out who this dude is. The first one, of course, is Google, right? Like Google gets billions of searches every day, and Google keeps track of everything. Google knows what people's questions are, what problems people want to solve, because when we want to know something, we want to know how to do something, we want to find the answer to something, we turn to Google, right? So Google Keyword Planner in particular is something that you can use, and it's free. You do have to have a Google account and set up an advertising account with them, but afterwards you don't have to actually publish an ad to use the Google Keyword Planner. So that's free. Or you can just use Google's autofill. You know, when you start typing a phrase in Google, Google will automatically complete that phrase. For example, how do I? And then Google will show you these sentences or phrases that complete that. So that's another way that you can find out what people are asking Google. What else? Blog comments. Go to the most popular blogs on your topic that your target market reads, and then look at the comments, because that's really where you can find out people's questions and what they're struggling with. Now, Answer the Public is a really cool website, and that's where this dude is from. So that's answerthepublic.com. So what you do is you type in a word or a phrase in this box, and then you click on Get Questions, and then Answer the Public will show you the most common questions around that topic that are being submitted to Google. Okay, so it will give you questions like what is, or how do, what, or why, the what, where, when, why, how, those questions. So yeah, that's another way that you can find out what your target market is struggling with around your particular topic. Quora is another website that you can check out. And Quora is a special website because that's just a place for asking questions and answering questions. So again, another good way to find out what people are asking around your topic. Now, what you're looking for is, and you want to do several of these, not just one, because you're looking for common themes. Like, what are the questions or the challenges or the problems or the strong desires that keep coming up? Okay, so you're looking for themes and the commonalities among all these websites. So also check out forums. There's probably a forum for every single topic under the sun, right? For example, when I was learning how to bake bread, and I had so many questions about my bread dough and about how my bread turned out, I would find a lot of answers in forums, and some of these forums are really, really active. Again, look at the forums, and then check out Facebook groups and LinkedIn communities, and you will find a lot of these. Just focus on the ones that are active so you don't spend too much time and you don't waste time. And another favorite actually of mine for research is Amazon. So look at the books around your topic, the best-selling ones. Look at the reviews. The reviews are important as well, especially the negative reviews, because the negative reviewers will tell you what's not being addressed. Okay, so what are you looking for? You're looking also not just for what are the most common questions, but also who are your competitors? What products are already out there? Which reminds me, it just popped into my head right now. You would probably want to look at Udemy, for example, right? Or Coursera, especially Udemy, because these are more like independent instructors. And look at what are the courses that are already out there around your topic. What do they cover? And are there reviews in Udemy? I think so. So look at the reviews. Again, look at your competitors. What are they doing? And more importantly, what are they not doing? What are the problems, the pain points, and the desires that are still unmet? And this is the area that you might want to go to, because that's a wide open space for you to come in, so that you're not going to create a product that's just the same as what everyone else has. And so you want to look at competitors, and you want to find out, you want to read the feedback, and you want to look at reviews so that you can determine what you can do better. All right. Next research methodology is the survey. And if you're on my list, then you're aware that last month I did my own survey. So a survey does require that you have an audience. So it helps if you have a mailing list, if you have a blog with, a certain number of readers who are engaged, if you have a Facebook group, or you are a member of a Facebook group and you're active in it and people are very actively engaged in the group, then you can do a survey, as long as these groups of people are in your target market. Now, can you do a survey even if you don't have an audience? It's still possible. Like, you can borrow another person's audience. Like, you can ask them, if you know somebody who does have an email list of people who are in your target market, you can ask them, like, I have this survey, would it be okay for you to share it with your readers or your email subscribers? Now, when you design your survey, you'll decide if you want to use close-ended questions or open-ended questions. Close-ended questions are those that are answerable by yes or no, or they have a very limited choice of answers. For example, like my own survey, it was my one-question survey because I wanted it to be really quick and easy for people to answer. You had, I think, only like 4 choices for your answer. Okay, and that included other. An open-ended question is one where people have to formulate their own answers. So, for example, if I asked you, what is your biggest challenge, and then didn't give you choices, you had to type your answer in sentence form, for example. That's an example of an open-ended question. If you ask why or how or what have you tried in order to solve your problem, and then you just left it open for people to answer whatever they wanted, those are open-ended questions. Now, there are pros and cons to each one. Close-ended questions are, as I said, they're easier for your respondents to answer, and they are also easier for you later on to analyze the data that you collect. Open-ended questions, but let me finish with the close-ended questions first. You're not getting nuances or any depth to their answers. For example, in my survey, my question was, like, what is most challenging, or what is the one thing you can do in your business right now that would make the biggest impact? And some people answered business management, improved business management. And then I don't really know what they meant by that. Like, I might have my own idea of what business management means, and it might not necessarily be the same as my respondents' concept of what business management is. So that's the limitation with close-ended questions. Now, open-ended questions, they can be as detailed, right? So you can get more details, you can get more nuances and deeper answers, but it also takes more time for your respondents to complete the survey, and it will be harder for you to analyze the results later on, because you have to go back at all the responses and figure out a way to codify their responses so that you can have you can draw conclusions from them. And the thing with surveys is that you have to verify your results. Why? Because people tend to lie. It might be that they consciously or unconsciously want to give you what they think you want to hear, or maybe they're trying to impress you. They want to save face, and so that's going to color their answers. Even if it's a completely anonymous survey, there's still the possibility that they will lie. And when I say lie, it's not necessarily that they're doing it on purpose. It might be totally unconscious on their part, right? So, and also because people sometimes, we don't know what we don't know. So even when we're giving what we feel is an honest answer, it might not actually be an accurate answer after all, right? So you can do a survey. Absolutely, you can do a survey, but that will just help you to narrow down or to give you a better direction with the rest of your market research. Because there is this other methodology that I highly recommend, and it's one-on-one interviews. And again, if you are one of my subscribers, you know that I offered this. I offered 15 minutes free coaching call with me because it's part of my market research. Now, one-on-one interviews is what I would consider to be the holy grail of audience research. It's not going to give you big data because, I mean, who wants to have hundreds of interviews or thousands of interviews? You probably have time and energy for only a few, maybe at most a few dozen, 1 or 2 dozen, and that's perfectly fine. But it's the holy grail of audience research because it's actually small data, but it's, first of all, a potential differentiator because a lot of people are scared to do this. They get intimidated. And, tell me in the comments, how do you feel about the idea of doing one-on-one interviews? Does that idea scare you? But I know that at Miracy, with the course builders laboratory students, a lot of them really, for a lot of them, this is a big wall, like this is a big obstacle. When they realize they have to do one-on-one interviews, they freeze and they get stuck there. They don't want to do it somehow. Is that something that scares you as well? If so, let me know in the comments and let me know what are you finding challenging about doing one-on-one interviews. So, okay, so Anazi says she doesn't mind doing them, but some people are scared. So if you can get over that fear and do the one-on-one interviews, then you are going to be ahead of your competitors who are too scared. And you're going to be able to dig deeper into the problems, into whatever you found in your previous methodologies. Like, you don't even have to do research, but you have some ideas, right, based on mining your experience, based on doing web research. So you can dig deeper. Okay. David, I will go back to that comment later on. And in digging deeper, you can find nuances in what your target market is experiencing. And another really, really great thing with one-on-one interviews is you can get problem language. You can get the exact words that your target market is using to express their problems, to express their challenges, to express their dreams, their aspirations, their goals. And that problem language comes in really handy later on when you're marketing and selling your product, because you can use those exact words and phrases in your marketing and sales materials, and boom, your target market will resonate immediately with you and with your message, and it just makes it easier to make the sale later on. So one-on-one interviews are so great. I don't know why you wouldn't do them. All right, so with those 4 methods, you have gotten a really good idea of what's keeping your target market awake at night and how you can go there and address their problems and their desires and help them, right? And what kind of a product would be different from what's already out there. But you still don't really know if they will actually buy your product, right? Even if you went to Amazon and looked at the best-selling books, well, those are books. I doubt, well, you can't find courses. Even if you went to Udemy and looked at the courses in your topic and looked for best-selling courses, it still doesn't necessarily mean that your own product, your own book, your own course will do well, right? It doesn't mean that people will buy. And there's really only one way to find out, and that is research methodology number 5. And that is to just get there, go out there, launch your product, and sell it. Selling is still the best research. Like, you might not consider it research, but it is research because it's a way of testing the market, right? And so, in order to do this, you just have to, and you can sell even before you create your product, right? So you don't have to finish your product first before launching. You can launch and then create your product. And that's why I said that you can get paid to create your product. And so the best way to do this is just have a quick and dirty approach to your launch. First of all, don't do this complicated 5-10 step launch. Like, do a 2-step launch, a 1-step launch even, right? And then quick and dirty launch, quick and dirty product. Don't try to pre-sell a product that's going to take you 6 months to create, because people are going to say, oh, forget it, you're dishonest, like you sold me this product and then you didn't deliver right away. So you have to think of a product that you can deliver on in 1-2 days at most. And if you're interested in that, I'm going to cover that in the next training video. What are some of these products that you can really create quickly and still deliver value? Okay, we're not talking about creating something that's useless. All right? So when you do your research, of course, the next step is your data analysis. Now make sure, by the way, that you have deadlines for collecting your data and for analyzing your data. Otherwise, you're just going to be in analysis paralysis, right? So it doesn't have to take more than, if you're doing one-on-one interviews, it doesn't have to take more than 2 weeks. Like, it took me a month, but that's because I have time. I don't have a day job right now. I had time to take a month doing the interviews. But, set a deadline for your, and web research doesn't have to take more than a few hours. A couple of hours. 3 hours tops. Okay, make deadlines for yourself, remember, and also a deadline for analyzing all your data. And then give yourself time to synthesize and integrate. And what I mean by this is, after you look at your results and you draw some conclusions, just let that simmer at the back of your mind. Let your subconscious digest, because you're going to have all these ideas popping in your head, and make sure that you're capturing all these ideas, because some of those are going to be gold. Okay, so now, because of your research, you are going to have all these wonderful ideas. Like, I now have a list of probably like 24 product ideas or content ideas. How do you choose? So I'm going to show you. I love Venn diagrams, by the way. So you can use a Venn diagram if you want. You don't have to. You can just have a list and put a star next to the ones that meet these criteria. My criteria that I recommend, and you can have a different criteria, but these are my criteria. First of all, easy, meaning it's something that you already know. You can already deliver on it. You don't need to take a course on it. You don't need to get certification. It's a problem that you already know the answer to. Okay, so easy. Fast. So choose an idea that you can deliver fast, not a 6-week course. No, I'm talking about probably like a course with 5 short lessons, or let's say an ebook that you could write in a couple of hours. So something that you can create fast. And the third thing is there's some urgency, meaning, but what I mean by this is that it addresses an urgent need in your target market, or there's some kind of timeliness to it, which means that it could be seasonal, right? For example, as I'm delivering this video, it is the end of the year. A lot of business owners are going to be looking back at reviewing their business performance for the year and planning for the next year. So if one of my ideas was a short course on how to do business planning, like I would do that. There's some kind of an urgency, right? I would do that now and schedule my other ideas for later on. So this is like the time element. So again, these are my suggested criteria. These may not be your criteria. So decide on your own criteria, but I would definitely recommend an idea that you can put out there quickly and easily, because that's your low-hanging fruit. Start with your low-hanging fruit. Okay, why? Because I want you to make money right away. I want you to make sales right away, as quickly as possible. And then when you're making money, then you can move on to the more complicated stuff that needs more time and resources. And by then, you will have the resources. All right, so to summarize, here are the 5 ways that you can do market research so you can get started the right way with product creation. 1, mine your own experience by looking at the most commonly asked questions that people ask you. Number 2, do web research. Number 3, and this is optional, conduct a survey. Number 4, do one-on-one interviews. Again, optional, but highly, highly, highly recommended. Which reminds me, some time ago, one of my mentors actually paid me to conduct this interview with me. So that's how important the interview is. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to pay people. And then number 5 is just go ahead and launch. Right, those are the 5 research methodologies that I want you to consider. Right, congratulations. If you're still watching, you have earned your bonus. Go to alexisrodrigo.com/research to get your bonus or to sign up for it, and let me know how to send it to you. So now, let's go to your questions. Let me just fix my screen here. All right, let's look at some of the comments from Anazi. You always share valuable info. Thank you, Anazi. That means so much to me coming from you, because Anazi, you are brilliant. You're so smart. Every time I get on the phone with Anazi, my mind just gets blown. She's so intelligent and she always has terrific, terrific ideas. Nazi, I'm so honored that you attended my video training. Thank you. All right. David. David said, hi, David. Hello. David, I forget exactly where you're from, but I know you're from somewhere in Canada, and I hope you're not freezing to death. What's fun? The interviews? Is that what you meant? The interviews are fun? I certainly had fun doing the interviews. Right, so Kelowna, yes. Oh, BC. So no, you are not freezing. My daughter is in BC, and the weather in Vancouver is very mild, as I understand it. And I'm guessing Kelowna is mild as well. You're like a couple of hours away from Vancouver. Okay, David's question, and this is, if I remember correctly, is about surveys, correct? And it's about asking the correct questions. Okay. I went to graduate school. I finished all my courses, and I passed the exam, but I did not get my master's degree because I didn't finish my thesis. But in graduate school, and my program was majoring in communication research. In graduate school, I learned this really, really cool method for coming up with your survey questions. It's very systematic, and I am very ashamed because I have forgotten the name of my professor, and I wish I remember so that I can give him credit. But I've forgotten. But it's the KVIQ method. KVIQ stands for key variable, indicator, and then question. So first of all, you need to, yes, and this works for interviews as well. You need to be very clear on what your objective is, right? What is the objective of your survey? For example, when I did my survey, my objective was to find out my respondents' biggest challenges in their business, biggest business challenges. So the key variable, then from your objective, you identify what is your key variable. Meaning, what are the variables that you need to look at in order to meet your objective, right? So in my case, like, my survey was very, very simple. So my variable was the challenge, right? The challenge. And then, what is the indicator? The indicator I chose was the high impact. What is their high impact activity for their business, right? And then, so from there, knowing when you know your indicator, then that will help you determine what questions to ask. So my question was, what is the one thing in your business that can make the biggest difference? That if you did that thing, it would make the biggest difference in your business. So actually, sorry, I got confused. The objective of my survey was not the challenge. It was just to find out what was most important for my respondents. And that's why my variable was highest impact business activity, right? So my indicator was the business activity that, my survey was very, very simplistic, so it all sounds like the same. But if your survey is more complicated, then you could have several variables, and then you could have one indicator for each variable or several indicators for each variable. So let me think of a better example, because that's not a good example. For example, if you wanted to make a survey on, let's say, business success, like you want to measure how successful your audience is. So you're just going to have to decide yourself what the variables are that you're going to look at. So you might look at income, right? That might be a variable for business success. You might look at a variable like feeling of accomplishment, right? Or business success might be the size of the audience, their influence. So their influence. And then when you look at indicator, your indicator is something that's very measurable, right? So income is measurable. But the indicator could be gross annual income. That could be one indicator of the business. And then another indicator under income could be profit margin, because they might have a big gross income, but the profit margin might be very small, which means they're not actually keeping much of their profit. So you might want to look at profit margin as another indicator of income, right? So then, what's your key question? Your key question will be, what was your gross profit, or what was your gross income in 2018? And then what was your profit margin in 2018? So David, does that help you to figure out how to come up with your questions for your survey and your interviews? It works for interviews as well. All right, so let's look at David. I like this. What is the one biggest thing that would change your business and life? Will force them to focus. The other variable they will likely mention. Yes? The other variable. Okay, so this depends. Now, if you're asking open-ended questions, like, yes, other variables may come up that your respondents will mention. But even if you are asking open-ended questions, you should still have variables that you want to measure, that you want to find out. Okay, you should still identify your own variables, and then based on the results, you will find out like, oh, there's this variable I hadn't even considered. All right, you're welcome, David. I'm glad that you found it very helpful, and I should probably do a training on the KVIQ method. I'm going to reach out to some of my graduate school classmates and ask them if they remember which professor taught us that. So David, open-ended is like tell me about, yes. So yeah, that's an example of an open-ended question. Like maybe like tell me about, like, well, complete the sentence, right? Complete the question. Maybe the question is tell me about your proudest moment. Tell me about the proudest moment in your business in 2018. Tell me about the biggest failure that you experienced in 2018. That's an example of an open-ended question. Again, depending on the specific question depends on what you're investigating. All right, how about the others? Do you have questions, or was I just super clear? Or just say hello. Just say hello in the comments so I can say hi back. Just want to remind you to go to alexrodrigo.com/research so you can get your bonus 5 ways to start right with product creation. All right. Now, I noted a question. Anazi, what was that question? Did I miss one? I thought I answered all the questions. But if I missed anything, I will answer in the comments. I wanted to keep this video to 30 minutes. We went a little bit over, but I hope that it was for good reason. That was an excellent question, David. Thank you for that. Now, come back again on Wednesday next week for part 3 of this video series. I will share with you some easy ways to create a product. All right. Before I let you go, Anazi, what's your advice on not researching forever? Just set deadlines, set specific dates when you're going to finish with your product creation. Set specific dates, deadlines for each methodology that you want to carry out, and also a specific deadline for analyzing your data, and so on. And stick to them. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Anazi. Thank you, David, and to the others who are watching but are too shy to say hello. Thank you for joining me. Remember, if you come up with any questions, type them in the comments. And remember to get your bonus. Enjoy the rest of your day.